I'm going to sing you the authentic version of the Boleyn boat. And the Boleyn was the engine. The man, actually, it's about a man, not a boat. That's the problem with Gary and Vera's version. They sort of did it so it was about a boat. And the man was Charlie Atkins, who was one of these people who plied his trade up and down with his boat, his barge. And he used to work for Cadbury's at one time in Bourneville in the Midlands. And he got known as Chocolate Charlie, which was a name he absolutely hated. But once you got a nickname, that's it. You know, Dave will tell you, Mr. Drippy, you know. Now I've been a boatman for most of my life. I've travelled the country all through, seen the grouse on the moors around Saddleworth Way, watched trains thunder past out of crew, with me ball in the beating a steady old thump, and the smoke drifting out of the stack. We head through the potteries, then on down south, take a load on and then come on back. I am loaded with pig iron outside Bilston town, and coal out at Bridgewater's mine. I have legged it through Blissworth with 10 ton of salt, and at Northwich dropped boatloads of pine, with me ball in the beating a steady old thump, and the smoke drifting out of the stack. We head through the potteries, then on down south, take a load on and then come on back. I have basked in the sun on the Middlewich run, and I've laid up when weather was wet. Been from Braunston to Lim in a wild winter's gale, in order to win a small bet, with me ball in the beating a steady old thump, and the smoke drifting out of the stack. We head through the potteries, then on down south, take a load on and then come on back. I remember the day of the wagon and horse unloading from ships under sail. Been from Somerset to London and then on to Goole, and from there I've crossed over to Wales, with me ball in the beating a steady old thump, and the smoke drifting out of the stack. We head through the potteries, then on down south, take a load on and then come on back. Well, I'm turned 80 now and I'm feeling me age, and soon it'll be time to go. But till then I will travel, albeit in mind, on the waters that I have loved so, with me ball in the beating a steady old thump, and the smoke drifting out of the stack. We head through the potteries, then on down south, take a load on and then come on back. Yes, we head through the potteries, then on down south, take a load on and then come on back. When I was here last time, you know, you sort of think, should I do this one or two songs the same? And I thought, no, I won't do that. I'll do a totally different set, whichever one I've got. And of course you come here and somebody says, are you going to do that one again? Are you going to do that one? Well, I'll see. Second half, we'll see what happens. All right. Who remembers Peter Bond? Yeah, I know you do. Yeah. Peter was, he's still around, but he doesn't sort of sing anymore. But in the sort of 60s, 70s and 80s, he wrote loads of great songs. and this is one of them. He knows I do his songs, and we had him at the club, our club, must have been over 10 years ago now, and we got him up there, and he's starting to sing. He says, "Mark, come and join me." What? Because he knew I did the song, so okay. And it's surprising how you do songs differently to other people. And we made a right mess of them, I tell you. But no, we got there in the end. This is one he wrote called "Birthday Cake City," which is really about Newcastle or the northeast. But it could apply to anywhere. My sort of hometown is Wigan, and I went back there because I moved away, and I went back, and they totally knocked it down and rebuilt it, and you could see where you wanted to go, but you didn't know how to get there. That's the thing. So this is what this song is all about, really. To a town of my youth I returned, unsuspecting, to relive for a moment bright dreams of the past. But the city I knew had been cruelly tormented. Not even the stones were privileged to last. But let's go together and let's take it slowly. When we were first lovers, this road was a track. Trees should be sacred and grass should be holy, not sad souvenirs for those who look back. I walked down by the river where the old quayside market, on clear Sunday mornings we used to explore. Past the Haymarket now, it's a suburb called Funland. My memories weeping, I turn to the morn. But let's go together and let's take it slowly. When we were first lovers, this road was a track. Trees should be sacred and grass should be holy, not sad souvenirs for those who look back. Down the long road of time, the green moor has been common, a gift from the king to our fathers of old. Now the charter has crumbled, its promise forgotten. Our future's been pawned and our history sold. But let's go together and let's take it slowly. When we were first lovers, this road was a track. Trees should be sacred and grass should be holy, not sad souvenirs for those who look back. Gone the stalls and the booths of a whole town of magic, where music and light poured in glittering flood. Gone the candy floss kids and the sweet toffee apples. The bright tilly lamps have been blown out for good. But let's go together and let's take it slowly. When we were first lovers, this road was a track. Trees should be sacred and grass should be holy, not sad souvenirs for those who look back. All the towns of our childhood have been laid low by strangers. They rise from the rubble like great birthday cakes, but the glamour soon fades and the sights cease to dazzle. The candles blow out and the icing soon breaks. But let's go together and let's take it slowly. When we were first lovers, this road was a track. Trees should be sacred and grass should be holy, not sad souvenirs for those who look back, for those who look back. Right, it's coming up to Halloween, so I'm going to do a song about Bonfire Night, alright? It's a song called Cobber Colin. We come a cobber colin, cobber colin, cobber colin. We come a cobber colin for Bonfire Neat. And this is, it was a song that was like Harry Boardman, if you remember Harry, Mr. Lancashire really. If it wasn't for him, we wouldn't be here really. It's, he started the first, didn't even call it a folk club, I think it was a folk song session or something like that. He did this one night somewhere. I've got a recording of him telling this tale, and he said, I forgot the last verse. And somebody came up later, he says, Harry, he says, what? He says, you forgot the last verse. I know I did, sorry about that. Well, it was the best verse, so well, so I'll do it to you next time, you know, I'll do it next time. So when it comes to that verse, I'll let you know, okay? So we come a cobber colin, cobber colin, cobber colin. We come a cobber colin for Bonfire Neat. Neat. We've come a cobber colin, cobber colin, cobber colin. We've come a cobber colin for Bonfire Neat. And the first to come in is a miner, you say, with his pick and his shovel all ready to dig. He digs it and picks it and then it does fall, and that is the way that we gather cock coal. We've come a cobber colin, cobber colin, cobber colin. We've come a cobber colin for Bonfire Neat. And the next to come in is a sailor, you say, with a bunch of blue ribbon tied under his knee. He's travelled through Germany, France and through Spain, and now he's returned to old England again. We've come a cobber colin, cobber colin, cobber colin. We've come a cobber colin for Bonfire Neat. And the last to come in is a miser, you say. He's a hump on his back and he's blind of an eye. He's a weary old fella and he wears a pigtail, and all his delight is in drinking strong ale. We've come a cobber colin, cobber colin, cobber colin. We've come a cobber colin for Bonfire Neat. And down in yon cellar there's an old umbrella, there's nought on yon cornice for an old pepper pot. Pepper pot, pepper pot, morning till night. If you give us nought, we'll take nought and bid you good night. We've come a cobber colin, cobber colin, cobber colin. We've come a cobber colin for Bonfire Neat. Best verse. And down in yon cellar there's plenty of bugs. They've eaten me stockings and part of me clogs. We'll get a sharp knife and we'll cut their heads off, and we'll have a good supper of bugs, heads and broth. We've come a cobber colin, cobber colin, cobber colin. We've come a cobber colin for Bonfire Neat. Up a ladder, down the wall, tuppence a threepence will please us all. This is a song, it was written by R.P. Weston and Bert Lee, who you may know for the songs like Goodbye, When Father Papered the Parlour, yeah. This is probably one of their later ones, because it wasn't long after this, I think it was R.P. Weston, Robert Patrick Weston died. His son actually took over the songwriting duties. Harris Weston, his name was. And the song itself was made famous by Stanley Holloway. Remember Stanley Holloway for doing all sorts of things. He did the monologues, you know, the Lion and Albert and all that. I might do that one later on. But that's what he did. And this is his version of the classic, I suppose, with her head tucked underneath her arm. So if you want to join in, you can do. in the Tower of London large as life. The ghost of Anne Boleyn walks, they declare. Anne Boleyn was once King Henry's wife, until he made the headsman bob her hair. Oh yes, he did her wrong long years ago, and she comes up at night to tell him so. With her head tucked underneath her arm, she walks the bloody tower. With her head tucked underneath her arm at the midnight hour. She's come toward King Henry, she means giving him what for. Gadzoot, she's going to tell him off for having spilt her gore. And just in case the headsman wants to give her an encore, she has her head tucked underneath her arm. With her head tucked underneath her arm, she walks the bloody tower. With her head tucked underneath her arm at the midnight hour. Down the drafty corridors for miles and miles she goes. She often catches cold, poor thing. It's cold there when it blows, and it's awfully awkward for the Queen to have to blow her nose. With her head tucked underneath her arm. Sometimes gay King Henry gives a spread for all his gals and pals, the ghostly crew. The headsman carves the joint and cuts the bread, and Anne Boleyn comes in to queer the do. She holds her head up with a wild war whoop, and Henry cries, "Don't drop it in the soup." With her head tucked underneath her arm, she walks the bloody tower. With her head tucked underneath her arm at the midnight hour. The sentries think that it's a football that she carries in, and when they've had a few they shout, "Is Arsenal going to win?" Because they think it's Alec James instead of poor old Anne Boleyn. With her head tucked underneath her arm. With her head tucked underneath her arm, she walks the bloody tower. With her head tucked underneath her arm at the midnight hour. She often finds King Henry sitting in the canteen bar. He says, "Are you Jane Seymour, Anne Boleyn or Catherine Parr? For how the sweets and fairy Anne can I tell who you are?" With your head tucked underneath your arm. This is a song called the Lisher Witches, seen as we're coming up to Halloween and all that lot. But it's not about the ladies with the pointed hats and broomsticks and black cats. It's about the lovely ladies of Lancashire, of which there are many. They're all lovely ladies, aren't they? And Cheshire as well, we come to that. I won't leave you all out. There is a chorus, please, if you can pick it up, join in. In vain I attempt to describe the charms of me favourite fair. She's a darling of Mother Eve's tribe, and with her there is none to compare. She's a pride of beauty so bright, her image me fancy enriches. Only charm as the village delight, she's the pride of the Lancashire Witches. And hurrah for the Lancashire Witches, who smile at Witches. How dearly I prize those pretty blue eyes of the pride of the Lancashire Witches. You can talk of your dark eyes of Spain, but it's useless to talk as you do, to try to compare them in vain with the Lancashire ladies in blue. Only view the dear heavenly bells, and you're soon filled with love-sudden twitches that only could come from the spells from the eyes of the Lancashire Witches. And there are for the Lancashire Witches who smile every bosom enriches. How dearly I prize those pretty blue eyes of the pride of the Lancashire Witches. Oh, the Lancashire Witches, believe me, they're beautiful every one, and mine ere me fancy deceives me, she's prettiest under the sun. It's the wealth of the Indies, I swear, were mine and I wallowed in riches. How dearly mid-fortune I'd share with the pride of the Lancashire Witches. And hurrah for the Lancashire Witches who smile every bosom enriches. How dearly I prize those pretty blue eyes of the pride of the Lancashire Witches. I mentioned Harry Boardman earlier on. I used to be a resident at his folk club in Manchester, in the Unicorn there. If you went through the Arndale Centre, which was the biggest toilet in the universe, I think people described it as. The Unicorn was through into Church Street. It was on the right-hand side there, and it was quite an iconic place in the last days of Harry's life. You used to get all sorts of people coming in who you wouldn't expect. I always used to say I was the only one there that I'd never heard of. It was that sort of place. And there was another student, I was a student at the time, there was another student called Chris Manners, and he was a great guitarist, still is. He lives up in Yorkshire somewhere, because that's where he's from. And years later I caught up with him with a CD review in the Folk North West magazine. So I sort of wrote and asked him to send me a copy if that was all right, and I gave him the money, And he said, yeah, great to get in touch with you. Any song you want on there, help yourself. So this was one song anyway that tickled me fancy, as it were. It's called Last Man Leaving, and it's about lighthouses going automatic around the coast of Great Britain. And they're all automatic now. And what I thought I'd do was put a couple of verses of Spanish Ladies either side, because I thought it went very well. Juxtaposition, I think, is the word. So if you know Spanish Ladies, or the chorus, join in. And then there's a big chorus for Last Man Leaving. Farewell and adieu to you, fair Spanish ladies. Farewell and adieu to you, ladies of Spain. For we've received orders to sail for old England, and we hope in a short time to see you again. And we'll rant and we'll roar like true British sailors. We'll rant and we'll roar across the salt sea until we strike soundings in the channel of old England. From Ushant to Scilly 'tis 35 leagues. Well, we hove our ship to with the wind from southwest, boys. We hove our ship to, for it takes soundings clear, 45 fathoms and a white sandy bottom. So we spread our main yard and up channel did steer. There are warnings of gales in Trafalgar, while in Viking and Dogger barometers fall. There's a storm brewing up in the Faroes, and there's mountainous seas in Rockall. And when the fog's rolling thick on the Humber, or when you're miles from position along German Bight, when the weather is rough, you're alone in the night. Last man leaving, please turn out the light. Last man leaving, please turn out the light. Well, you're out on the dark sea benighted, while the fear's slowly rising. You've missed your right lane, but the lighthouse men kept the lamps lighted, and they'd steer you to harbour again. And when the fog's rolling thick on the Humber, or when you're miles from position along German Bight, when the weather is rough, you're alone in the night. Last man leaving, please turn out the light. Last man leaving, please turn out the light. And there's 10 generations of school kids who have learned how the keeper set out in his skiff, how he rode with his daughter so bravely to the wreck at the foot of the cliff. And when the fog's rolling thick on the Humber, or when you're miles from position along German Bight, when the weather is rough, you're alone in the night. Last man leaving, please turn out the light. Last man leaving, please turn out the light. And the packet boats come to collect him, and so he's unhooked his oilskins and cap from the door, while the modem runs key diagnostics for the monitor readout on shore. And when the fog's rolling thick on the Humber, or when you're miles from position along German Bight, when the weather is rough, you're alone in the night. Last man leaving, please turn out the light. Last man leaving, please turn out the light. So come all you who love to go sailing, be it harsh daily grind or your weekend joyride. Well, I hope your computers are working when there are waves breaking over your side. And when the fog's roaring thick on the Humber, or when you're miles from position along German Bight, when the weather is rough, you're alone in the night. Last man leaving, please turn out the light. Last man leaving, please turn out the light. And you think of the old lighthouse keeper in his new painted council house tending his grass, how he misses the cries of the petrels and the sirens of ships as they pass. And when the fog's rolling thick on the Humber, or when you're miles from position along German Bight, when the weather is rough, you're alone in the night. Last man leaving, please turn out the light. Last man leaving, please turn out the light. Last man leaving, please turn out the light. Well, the first land we sighted, it was called the Dogman, X-ray med of Plymouth, Portland and White. We sailed on by Beachy, by Fairlight and Dover, and then we bore up for the South Foreland Light. Mike Harding, I'm sure you're aware, is probably most famous as a comedian. But he writes a lot of serious songs, and this is one of them. In fact, I prefer singing his serious songs because you can sing them more often than you can. Once you've told a funny song, I mean, Dave will know this. Once you've told or sung a funny song, that's it. You know, you can't do it for ages because everybody's heard the jokes, if there are any jokes in them. This is, you know what I mean. You know what I mean. The punchline doesn't sort of have that effect anymore, does it? This is a song he wrote called Jimmy Spoons. It's about an old tramp who he used to see in the middle of Manchester. where he lived as a boy. And he was an old serviceman, really, trying to earn a living of doing something. Down the long city streets on summer afternoons, there walked an old man, they called him Jimmy Spoons. Times that I remember when I was just a lad, I followed him the long, long day through. Hey Jimmy, won't you play one more tune? One of those you learned across in France. Come on Jimmy, won't you give us just one more? Play one so the little kids can dance, na na na. Play one so the little kids can dance. Played his old mouth organ and his spoons, they beat out time. All the kids, they followed him, he didn't seem to mind. Times I often wondered why he was just a tramp, where he went when the long hot days were gone. Hey Jimmy, won't you play one more tune? One of those you learned across in France. Come on Jimmy, won't you give us just one more? Play one so the little kids can dance, na na na. Play one so the little kids can dance. All the medals that he wore shone in the sun, memories of the trenches and the war that was long gone. Now he is no soldier, just a dosser out of luck, living in that hostel on the hill. Hey Jimmy, won't you play one more tune? One of those you learned across in France. Come on Jimmy, won't you give us just one more? Play one so the little kids can dance, na na na. Play one so the little kids can dance. Somewhere out in France, a shell that tore his mind, left him bent and broken, wearing rags, wearing a smile. What happened in those trenches, in the mud and in the tears? What happened to your life, Jimmy Spoons? Hey Jimmy, won't you play one more tune? One of those you learned across in France. Come on Jimmy, won't you give us just one more? Play one so the little kids can dance, na na na. Play one so the little kids can dance. Down the long city street I walk past me old home. I can see the changes now that I have grown. Still you hear them singing on a summer's afternoon. You hear the kids all saying to Jimmy Spoons, hey Jimmy, won't you play one more tune? One of those you learned across in France. Come on Jimmy, won't you give us just one more? Play one so the little kids can dance, na na na. Play one so the little kids can dance, na na na. Play one so the little kids can dance. Thank you very much. I'll finish on this one, I think, for this first half. It's a song I learned while I was going backwards and forwards to work in the car. It took me about three months. It's one of those songs, it's long and it's complicated, and what I used to do was put it on the CD player in the car, sing along with it. I'd written the words down. I wasn't reading the words in the car, by the way. I was just learned them. But singing along with it, and then switch the CD off and try and go as far as I could, and then switch the CD back on, and so it took me 3 months to get this. A song by Leon Rosselson called No One Is Responsible. I am an emergency planner. In my calm, efficient manner, I examine ways of dealing with attack warning red. In every district in the land, preparations are in hand for servicing survivors and disposing of the dead. There are stocks of food and water in our top secret headquarters, and supplies of CS gas so refugees can be restrained. We may be forced to shoot a hostile element or looter, for in war its most important law and order is maintained. There are safety regulations every householder should learn. I hope they won't be needed, but that isn't my concern. I've a job that must be done, and I'm the man who's qualified, but I'm not the final arbiter. That cannot be denied, and I can't be held responsible for what I don't decide. I don't decide, I don't decide, and I can't be held responsible for what I don't decide. I'm just following the guidelines politicians have supplied. I am a government minister. My aim through thick and thin is to defend our way of life, and every man must do his share, be it night or be it morning. When I hear the siren's warning to my concrete super bunker, I will fearlessly repair. First I'll calm the population with a broadcast to the nation, then with grim determination, grit and energy and drive, I'll mastermind the operation to preserve civilization. For despite the devastation, many millions will survive. Then we will emerge triumphant to tend our shattered flock. Our first task must be regeneration of the nation's stock. I'll be there to offer leadership and play my part with pride, but I'm not the final arbiter. That cannot be denied, and I can't be held responsible for what I don't decide. I don't decide, I don't decide, and I can't be held responsible for what I don't decide. I'm just acting on advice that the military provide. I am a military advisor. I devise and analyse a range of plausible scenarios for any future war. When the doors are locked behind us, you will regularly find us playing realistic war games while computers keep the score. They take one aggressive step and we use theatre nuclear weapons on their military targets, so they counter with the same. And with power balanced nicely, we must calculate precisely if a further escalation would knock Europe out the game. For if our nuclear deterrent should fail to deter, it's imperative we're ready for the worst that might occur. I shall offer expert counsel, others well may override, but I'm not the final arbiter. That cannot be denied, and I can't be held responsible for what I don't decide. I don't decide, I don't decide, and I can't be held responsible for what I don't decide. I just integrate the weapons systems scientists provide. I am a scientific wizard. My laboratory is a dip into a world where nothing is beyond the human mind. Here we spend our time designing and improving and refining sophisticated weapons of a cost-effective kind. Now we're furrowing our foreheads on the new nuclear warheads with miniaturized components of increased destructive power. I sometimes question what I'm doing, and I wonder if I should, but I know that if I didn't, there'd be many more who would. And in scientific progress we must match the other side, but I'm not the final arbiter. That cannot be denied, and I can't be held responsible for what I don't decide. I don't decide, I don't decide, and I can't be held responsible for what I don't decide. Our serving men need better weaponry. All I do is provide. I am a missile commander. I repudiate the slander that to do the job I'm doing, then you've got to be insane. I've been screened and classed as stable. How else would I be able to carry out my duties without cracking under the strain? There are just two guys who lie low in each Titan missile silo, on permanent alert in case the order comes to fire. And if my partner starts to be a danger, acting kinda weird, then I guess I'd have to shoot him, cause that's what the rules require. It's a scary situation, but I reckon I don't scare, for I read the Bible daily and I offer up a prayer. And if crisis time approaches, I will take it in my stride. But I'm not the final arbiter, that cannot be denied, and I can't be held responsible for what I don't decide. I don't decide, I don't decide, and I can't be held responsible for what I don't decide. I'm just fingering the buttons that governments provide. I am a superpower leader, my crusade is peace and freedom, and to further these great causes I will go to any lengths. I will see that no expense is spared to double our defences. Our security demands that we negotiate from strength. We will take a stance that's tough in case they think that we're just bluffing. There's nothing can deflect us from the path that we pursue. We will show them they can't win, cause even balanced on the brink, they needn't think that I would shrink from doing what I have to do. I've drawn the line against aggression to keep tyranny at bay, but exactly where the line is I am not prepared to say. They will know that when they cross it, and then God will be my guide. But I'm not the final arbiter, that cannot be denied, and I can't be held responsible for what I don't decide. I won't decide, I won't decide, and I can't be held responsible for what I won't decide. I'll be responding to the data that computers have supplied. We are decent, we are dedicated, worthy and sincere, and when Judgment Day approaches and the trumpet sound we hear, we will rise to meet our makers, we will have no cause to fear, for we've only done our duty, so our consciences are clear. And if the end of all creation is global suicide, there'll be no one who's responsible, for no one will decide.